Hey, this is Bella with Bella Ortiz Photography. Today I'm going to show you how to make a deeply contrasted black and white photo. This method can also be used for bringing a bold contrast to your color photo or even creating that Vogue style desaturated look. The first thing I'm going to do is duplicate my background layer by hitting Ctrl J. This will be the layer where we will lift our shadows, so I'm going to call it Shadow Lift. We are going to come back to this layer after we've made our new adjustment layers. The next step will be to choose the adjustment black and white. This will convert our image to grayscale, and we're going to choose auto for now because we can go back and change the settings later. Our third and final adjustment layer is going to be levels. After you've created a levels adjustment, choose the blend mode Soft Light. As you can see, it's already added a lot of contrast and depth to our black and white photo. I'm going to group these layers by selecting from the top to the bottom while holding Shift, then clicking Ctrl G. Now I'm going to go back and open up my group. I'm going to click on my Shadows Lift layer. From here we can go to the menu panel and choose Image, Adjustments, and Shadows and Highlights. I like how my auto settings are already, but I'm going to explain a little bit what each thing does. When you move the amount slider, you're going to see that it gives you more or less of an effect. The tonal width slider will tell Photoshop what you consider to be shadows and what to leave out. The wider you go with your tonal width, the more midtones and shadows it will pull in. The radius is basically a way to feather the effect. Because this photo is a touch too bright in the highlights, I'm also going to have it affect those. I'm not going to do much to them, but I need to bring them down just a peg. When my shadows and highlights are where I want them, I'm going to click OK. From here, I'm going to choose my black and white adjustment. As you can see, it opens up a panel that affects all the different color channels in your photo, so each photo will vary. Most of the time, the skin is within the yellow and the reds. From here, I'm just going to play around with the sliders until I have what I want. If you want to mess with the overall contrast of the image, you can go back to your levels adjustment and move those sliders around too. If you wanted to use some color here, you would choose the pull-down menu for red, green, or blue, and you would move those sliders. Now you can see the final product is a deeply contrasted black and white image. Now I'll show you how to use that image to create a desaturated tone or a very bold contrasted color. For the desaturated tone, simply click on your black and white layer and lower the opacity. I would recommend bringing it down to about 50% or less, but it depends on how much color you want in your photo. Here is what it looks like with the effect on and off. The great thing is you can go back to any of those layers and adjust the opacities or even the actual information within the adjustment. Now I'm going to show you another method that will result in much more bold color. I'm going to select my group as a whole again, and I'm going to click Ctrl, Shift, Alt, E. This will create a merged copy of everything that Photoshop is seeing. Now I'm going to hide my group and select the merged copy that I've just created. I'm going to set my blend mode to luminosity. You can see that it adds the amount of depth, but it keeps all of the color. That's because the luminosity blend mode uses whatever the information is on top as a map of where to put the dark and the lights, but it keeps all of the color that's beneath it. From here you should just play around with the opacity of the layer. You could even go into the property settings and choose the blend if sliders to not affect the shadows so much or not affect the highlights. This photo was brought to you by Carson of Carson Photography. Thank you for watching.